Hey everyone, Ian Akone here. Hey, I thought I would just go through a few of the problems on the review, and while you have the work, I thought I'd talk you through some of them because, well, let's look at this one here. We've got this fraction here, 4x plus 2 over x minus 3. Now, I put that in parentheses, and the reason I like to do that, it reminds me that that's a whole group. That x minus 3 is one thing. You can't just like cancel that 3 and that 5 because this is a whole common term. You have to deal with it all at the same time. And then the same with this. So look, I'm doing that strategy where I cover up some of the problem, and it helps me. It might help you. So I'm going to look at this complex problem by starting off with a similar problem that's not so many things. So this is a new problem, okay? This is related to this in the way that we're going to solve it, not the numbers at all. So let's look at this one. And I know it says what to do to get rid of the fraction, multiply but both sides by 3. But look what happens here. The 3 over 3 will cancel, and then the 9 times the 3 is the 27. You're getting rid of that fraction, and that's the cool thing. You can solve this other ways. You can. But getting rid of the fraction, oops, see how the 3 cancels there? And then we'll just look at that. Much more straightforward. So if we take that same view here, I'm going to multiply both sides by x minus 3. It might sound strange to multiply by x minus 3, but this is a term. Just like the 3 is a term. They're all just little terms in math, or units, one single unit. So if we look at these as a unit of something, well, that and that will cancel because they're the same thing. And it gets rid of the fractions. And then we'll do the same thing on the other side. And then notice, get rid of our fractions. Look what we're left with. Isn't that nice? And then we have x minus 5, parentheses x minus 3. And hopefully you're realizing that's the distributive property. Now, one thing that I like to remind students of is think about how I'm explaining this. Let's say I'm talking about this line. The whole time I've been telling you how this line relates to the previous line, and then how this line will relate to the next line. And that's what is the tough thing to do when you're first studying mathematics, is to think about how this line relates to the previous and whatnot. And then, of course, I show you a similar example that's just less numbers, and that can always help. So if you're able to do that, think of a similar problem, that really can help you. So from here on out, with distributive property, and I like to draw the arrows. Maybe it reminds people of what you do. And I like to write down each step here, but you don't have to. If you know how to if you can go from here to here, then of course do that. But distribute 5 times the x and 5 times the negative 3. Notice I always put a plus sign between every single thing when I'm doing distributive property. This is a positive 5, so and that's a negative 3, so I'll put the negative 3 there. So always putting that plus sign there will help you keep track of what's supposed to be a positive number and a negative number. Like if this had been a negative 5, pretend that was a negative 5. Well, I would have still put the plus there. Just pretend that's a negative 5. Okay, so I'm making up a new problem. Well, can you see that? Well, I would have put a negative inside here, if you can see that, and I still would have had that plus sign. So we're keeping track of our negatives, but it's not a negative 5. I'm changing things on you. So we've got our distributive property. I chose to subtract 4x from this side, thinking into the future, thinking about the next step. I'm forecasting my moves, kind of like checkers or chess. You think into the future about what you're going to do. Well, 5 minus 4 we know is a positive 1. And that's why I chose to subtract 4, because then I have a positive x here. If I would have subtracted 5x from here, I would have, I would have subtracted 5x from here, and I'd have a negative 1x on here. No big deal at all. You'd still get the same answer. So then I solve it here. And oh, look, and here I put the thinking behind the step. I chose to subtract 4x because we have a positive, but you could do it any way you want. It doesn't really matter. So that is number 6. And then I'll just do a couple of these videos and post them all. So I hope you're doing well and studying like 20 or 30 minutes at a time, and then take a 10-minute break. Don't watch TV. Don't pick up your phone. Go on a walk. I'm serious. That helps your brain. What happens is when you take a study break after the 20 or 30 minutes of studying, your brain is actually organizing. It's like a filing system. It is filing things, rules, math steps, math in the correct order. And that's why it's good to take a break. So I'll see you next video. Bye.